The family partnership is myself and Dan and my brother working predominantly on the farm. My father's still around on the farm as well, or the farm's never retired, are they? So he's around still somewhere.
Offering advice, I believe it's called.
That's what it's called, isn't it? Offering advice. So he's around as well. My eldest daughter's an accountant, so she does all our bookkeeping, which is a really good do. So very useful. So we don't have to do that. We just have to go and ask her permission if we want to spend anything. That's all, which is hard work. But anyway, so there's those are the main three of us on the farm. My other son, Dan's younger brother, is a contract sheep shearer, so he's somewhere in the north of England shearing sheep somewhere at the moment. So comes back to do some jobs on the farm from time to time. So. But yeah, it's been a family. The family partnership's been going for, well, we're probably third and fourth generation, fourth and fifth generation. So we've been in this dale in Burnsall for quite a long while, and my grandparents sort of started building the farm up, and my father did the same, carried on, and we've sort of trying to do the same as well, which is why we're running up to about 1,500 acres now, scattered around the dale. So that's what we're finding. So, plus bits and pieces of taking in sheep grazing land and moorland that we run onto as well. So it keeps us pretty busy travelling around the dale.
Yeah, so just setting up the machine, weigh scale at the moment, just zeroing it. Normally stand on it, check if it's weighing roughly right. So we're going to run round. My dad just sheds the ewes off up and out. The lambs will come up the weigh race. We'll run through and weigh them all, mark any that are fit to go to kill this weekend. The weigh head's attached to these two blue cables, which are attached to the weigh bars underneath the weigh scale. And this box is the EID reader, so all the lambs are tagged already. They get tagged at birth and recorded to the ewes and which sire they're buying, that sort of thing. So the lamb will run in, you can hear it beeping, so that's the sensor that's built into the weigh crate itself, reading the lamb's tag. That then tells the weigh head what number it is. So this lamb is UK 123 806 21855. That's the slaughter tag that's in it. So then I can press record, which I have done at 36 kilos, let it out, and then when I go home, put it onto the laptop, it'll then know that lamb is that weight, and you can then use it for different things. This will also tell you the weight gain it's doing. So this is doing 0.11 in the last, these are weighed about 4 weeks ago now. So in the last 4 weeks doing 0.1, which isn't just quite as high as we'd like really. And then yeah, I'm selecting any lambs that are fit to go this weekend. We usually aim for about, 42 kilos plus, as long as there's enough flesh on them. And they are to go to ABP dead weight. There's a collection centre at Pateley Bridge Junction which we use. If they are either too heavy or too fat, or we just think they're a bit too good to go dead weight, then we will normally take them to Skipton and sell them live weight on Monday. That one's 42 kilos, but it's just to the touch, it's not just quite where it wants to be, so it's come down a little bit, so I'll leave that for another week. We've been running this system only for, we've recorded 3 lambing times now. The idea behind it was actually, we were talking about earlier, the Hampshire lambs. So my dad said he wanted to try a Hampshire tup, and in the past we've always tried things, but you sort of, once you try something without any facts and figures behind it, you're then basing it purely on your eye, which 90% of the time is right, but it's quite nice to actually have some facts and figures behind what you're trying as well. So we said, and I'd been thinking about it for a while. I mean, we did it at college way back in the day before the technology advanced right a lot. And I've been thinking about it for a while and thought, well, if we're going to try these things, then let's actually have some facts and figures behind it. So that's when I went into it. And the idea behind it is, especially with these mule ewes, is just to keep efficiency as high as possible. I mean, the days of lots of labour on farms has gone nearly. You can't afford to run a farm business like that. People have to be paying the way, and sheep have to be performing to the most efficient they can be. So the idea behind it is that through this system we can keep tracks of anything that needs to go for whatever reason. You don't end up running around sheep that are consistently underperforming. We also use the weigh system to, We use the weigh system as well to have an 8-week weight for every lamb on the farm, which then can be put back to the yo. Not only does that mean you can year on year look at the performance and how sheep are doing, it also means that you can identify those animals that aren't performing as well as the rest of them. So for example, after we've got the 8-week weights together, I go through, basically put the mule yos into a list and identify the very worst performing 5%, and they just get rid of them. Idea being, whether it works or not, it's on the first, like I say, I've not been doing it very long. The idea being that if you keep getting rid of the worst yos on the farm and you're only breeding off the best, hopefully that'll push everything up and efficiency should go higher. They'll produce more lamb per yo for eating the same amount of grass. All these lambs are only finished on grass, where we don't creep any Texel lambs, we don't creep any lambs at all. Yeah, and we've had 70 away so far on 20th of July, so we're hopefully not doing too badly. These mule yos spend winter on stubble turnips, so they go before Christmas. They normally go about the 15th of December away to stubble turnips. They stay on stubble turnips right the way up until, well, as late as we dare leave them really. It's usually the last week in February, the first week in March we bring them home. They come home then, and at that point they start getting supplementary feed. They start lambing on the 10th of March, and they will get fed supplementary feed for about 3 weeks over lambing time, or 3 weeks after they've lambed, should I say, at which point that's at the home farm. At which point the lambs are marked and brought down here. Unless the weather's very bad, then they don't get any cake they don't get any supplementary feed once they're down here. So these yos will just spend basically 4 or 5 weeks a year on supplementary feed, and stubble turnips for the winter, and that's it. They have access to buckets, mineral buckets most of the year, mag buckets in spring and later on in summer as well. But apart from that, they don't get any supplementary feed.
This is where they belong up here as well. This is where the twins are on this particular allotment. And they work very well up here. We do winter some up here, as long as the winters aren't too bad. We'll winter some probably with the scan for singles for a bit higher up. Come up to them every day. But they go well in these allotments. So we work around the allotments. Just they'll stop in for a few weeks at a time, then we move them on to the other ones and swap them all around. But these ewes are milking these lambs well. The lambs don't get any extra feed on here, but we'll start taking the ewe lambs off at 1st of August, give all that sometime around then, give or take. But, yeah, I mean, if some of these big wether lambs come off the mother's fat up here. A single wether lamb can come off the mother's fat up here at 45 kilos sometimes. You can wait till September. We don't have to take their wethers off till September, just so we can be dealing with gimmers. But yeah, you get decent lambs off these. And this is proper Swaledale land up here.
Makes the mules hardy as well. I mean, it's not a particularly easy place, even in summer up here. So you'd like to hope that our mules, that when they do get sold, fair enough, they're not the biggest going to the auction, but when they do get sold, you'd like to hope that they'll go on and grow for other people in different parts of the country as well. And also they grow for us, because we keep between 80 and 100 back for ourselves. And as we saw this morning, the yos come through pretty well and can do a job in a commercial setting as well. We tend to keep between 80 and 100 gim lambs back for ourselves. We sell about 30 private and the rest all get sold. Well, majority get sold through Skipton auction market in the Nemsa sales, the 2 Nemsa sales. We do sell an odd trailer full through Pateley Bridge auction market as well.
We just tend to we don't tend to pick anything out ourselves, just probably the smaller end of the twins probably. So
Small and dark-headed is what we normally go, yeah, but we'll also, anything that doesn't match into pens at the end or we'll also keep back ourselves. We're not overly bothered. Decent skins we keep, well, yeah, we try and keep the skins as good as we can on them all. So, from my point of view, you want to be getting as much as you can that your land can handle, because for me, going in and getting a packet of ewes and lambs into, for example, to dose lambs, It's no different getting 100 in to getting 150 in. It takes almost the same amount of time. Your biggest job is to gather them in. Well, if they're there together in, by the time you've got set up and done, it's very little difference in that time of actually doing it. So for my eyes, for one person, as not as it is now, but as it could be in the future, for one person to do all this work, if you're doing it, if you're doing a job, you might as well do it and do as many as you can that the land will handle, while obviously keeping your grass and keeping your environment right and making sure the lambs are still growing.
I met Janet Hughes at a meeting in Skipton. She came and met a few of us from Network and one or two, and she went round the room and what do you farm, what do you farm, what do you farm? And I said, well, I've always said we farm cattle, sheep in the environment. I've always said that because that's what we do, because we get you know, environments. If they're going to pay us to look after the environment, we do it too fair. We've not done a lot different to pay to what we've ever done.
No.
And so if we're going to pay us for it, we might as well do that, you know, as a keep.
Well, the same number of sheep up here than there always has been.
There's always been, yeah. In fact, there might be a few less sheep on here than not, because we've had to take them off that, you know, we don't put as many on there as we can, and we don't put as many up there as we could, so there's probably less sheep, and we also used to put fertiliser in here as well, you know. So there's probably less sheep, really, from going back, if you're going back 15 years. But hopefully, but probably with not all singles then, and more, you know, more twins now.
There's more twins now.
So, you know, this is...
I still think we could stand another 100 sheep.
See with Tarka's son that's the land agent, David. When he was on for David Hills in Skipton, he used to be on for them, and I don't know why. My father brought him up here for something years and years ago for whatever, it might have been the mastiff, something like that. I don't know, that's actually wrong to me. I had 2 aunties is that. But he came and he says, well, this is the best sheep summering land in the north of England, he says. He called it when he was up here. Now, this, you know, just telling you, he says, it's the best summering land in the north of England. He's always heard him saying that. So, my father's still close to him saying that.
These lambs are never going to be as big as if they were spent the whole time in the bottom in meadows, but they're hardy from being up here.
Yeah, we'd like to think
they grow nicely.
You know, we'd like to think they're going to carry on growing. I mean, well, you see the size of our mule ewes, and you know they're pretty good mule ewes. You know, the commercial ewes, they're nothing. You know, we're not going to win any show prizes with them, but the commercial ewes, but they're doing the job which I think the mule's very capable of doing. So, and we'd like our mule lambs to go on and do, you know, just do for people, and they must do, because we've had the same fellas bought our first pair of lambs last few years, and so they must be doing for somebody, you know. And
but it's as well as if you didn't farm swales with mules up here, what would you farm up here?